Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. AFC East future bets. Last year we did the AFC West. We were perfect on every single one. I have a really good feeling about the AFC East this year. Let's get to it. To win a division, I got the Jets. And even if you don't think the Jets will win this division, I think they're the best value at plus 250. I would not smug my nose if you put in that bet. I'm going to just go down the reasons why. Listen, man, I love what the Jets did this offseason, and we can talk about Aaron Rodgers, but I also feel like they made the team better in other areas. There's no star wide receiver, but at least you got Garrett Wilson and Lazard. I love the tight end position, and since it's preseason, I'm going to talk about vibes a little bit. And I know we normally don't go off those, but in preseason, when everyone's having a great training camp, I think it's fair that I get to say how I feel. And I'm getting Favre to Minnesota Vikings vibes when they got to the NFC Championship and when they completely decapitated the whole NFC. I am getting those type of vibes. Firstly, this team is going to have great balance. I believe they're going to be able to run the ball. I believe they're going to be able to play good defense. I think they got one of the best secondaries in this league. Salah, listen, man, I'm not like a big Salah guy. I'm not saying he's like the next Shula or the next Hoodie, but I do think he's a competent coach, and I don't think he's going to take away from this momentum and effort. And I'm looking at the Jets, and the only weakness is the offensive line. But I really do want to remind people, after week 6 last year, they had a ton of injuries. Their best offensive lineman was Elijah Vera-Tucker. He will be back to start the season. Breece Hall, that running back, he's still on the PUP list, but I think he comes back, week 4, week 5, week 6. I think this Jets team's going to be able to run the ball. They're going to be able to throw the ball. They're going to be able to play defense. Now, I am curious about this defensive line because they did look really good at times last year, but we have to keep into account they played a ton of backup quarterbacks. But this defensive line should be able to tear people up. But at this point, it is a bet. I like the Jets over the 9.5. I think they win the division. I'm hammering the plus 250. Coming in second, we got the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are plus 275 to win the division. Dolphins are over 9.5 wins. I think they go over the 9.5. The only reason why that's not a money pick like the Jets is Tua's one hit away from being in a stretcher and locked away in a hospital for 3 or 4 weeks. And I don't like to talk about that stuff on this show, but we have to be realistic. And the whole concussion factor played a part in Dolphins games even when Tua was not available. A la Jets game when Teddy gets hit on the elbow and they brought him into the concussion protocol and banned him from the game. Now, I'm not trying to go off on those side streaks, but one addition I absolutely loved from the Miami Dolphins was Vic Fangio at defensive coordinator. And I know I'm going to get pushed back. I know I'm going to get a ton of disagreement. But I think it's a fair argument to say that the Dolphins will have the best coaching in the league next year. I loved everything Mike McDaniel did on offense last year. Run pass balance, play action, creating space for Waddle and Tyreek to thrill Hill. He was absolutely excellent last year. Like Johnson, the offensive coordinator on the Lions. Like, they were the 2 best play callers in this league after Andy Reid. So when I'm looking at the Dolphins, I think this is a team on the up. I think they improved the defense. They did get a little bit of a blow with Jalen Ramsey picking up that torn meniscus, but overall they improved the defense. They improved the offense. Still some of the same problems with the Dolphins. We can talk offensive line. We'll see if that is better. And obviously Tua has to be able to take a hit. And I'm not questioning his toughness or anything like that. But we did see him bulk up this offseason, and he is talking about, quote unquote, how he's going to learn how to fall. I think the Jets and Dolphins are serious fucking teams in this league. And I might be in the minority here, but I got the Dolphins second. They're plus 275 to win the division. I wouldn't go that far because the Jets are there, but the 9.5 with this extra game, with the 17 games, it looks tempting. Next team, we got the Buffalo Bills. I got them coming number 3rd. They're favorites. They're favorites to win the division. They're plus 130. They're over 10.5 wins. So obviously Vegas thinks at the very worst they're going to get one more win than the Jets and the Dolphins. For a first place team, their schedule isn't all that difficult. So I understand where some people are coming from with the Bills hype. But there is something rotten on one Bills drive. And I got to give myself a pat on the back. I was one of the few to even look at the warning signs. No one wanted to look at the warning signs last year. They were just completely shocked and befuddled when Burrow absolutely hammered them and woodshedded them in their home stadium in the playoffs. I was not surprised. Did I think the Bengals would go out there and blow them out? No. But I knew the Bengals would win the damn game. And I'm looking at it this way, man. I think this Bills offensive line is more worrisome than the Jets. And this Jets offensive line has gotten a lot of slander so far this offseason. But the right side of this Bills offensive line wasn't good enough. And when you got a guy like Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, when you got Lamar Jackson, when you got quarterbacks who can use their feet, use their agility, it covers up blemishes. But eventually those blemishes will come to a head. No quarterback's going to have the same mobility opening week of the playoffs as he has week 1. That's just not realistic, and we can't ask people to be superhuman. I think Josh Allen's going to take more hits. And another thing people didn't talk about with the Bills that I don't think they addressed this offseason, the lack of separation for the wide receivers. The game plan was really basic. There wasn't anything extraordinary or profound from NFL defensive coordinators. The game plan was put 2 guys in Diggs, go man-to-man with Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox, Isaiah McKenzie, and make Josh Allen throw into extremely tight and precise windows like this small. And he just wasn't able to do it, especially with the pressure. So when I'm looking at this Bills team, all the Bills fans in NFL Network, they're getting excited about Dalton Kincaid, another tight end who has a very, very similar game to Dawson Knox. This offense needed some speed. It needed someone to take the top off the defense and let Diggs work in a more precise manner. That's just not going to happen. Now, they bring in Sherfield from the Dolphins. He's a very good route runner. I actually think he's an upgrade on Isaiah McKenzie, even though their games are radically different. But Gabe Davis isn't a number 2, and I think that's going to come back to bite them. And I think this right side of the offensive line will come back to bite them or bite Josh Allen. And I'm looking at this defense, and when I look at this defense, we have to be realistic. Poyer was injured pretty much the whole year last year, and they had other injuries like Tre'Davious White. But I felt like they lost the lifeblood of this defense, Tremaine Edmonds, and there doesn't seem to be anything in there to replace him. And there is some tension in one Bills drive, in my opinion. We saw this. I think Stephon Diggs is one little thing from blowing up. I really do. And we're also seeing tension with Von Miller. Brandon Beane saying he's going to be back week 1, and Von Miller says, not so fast, my friend. I'm going to take my time, and I'm going to come back when I'm fucking healthy, which he obviously has the right to do. It just feels like if they don't have Von Miller on this defense, I'm not sure they can get consistent stops. And with the age of their two safeties and Tre'Davious White's injury history, that secondary can start looking pretty damn barren very, very quickly when we get to week 6, week 7. The Bills' schedule to start the season is pretty easy, pretty relaxed, definitely something any good team can manage. But go look at those last 6, 7 games, my friends. Go look at those last 6, 7 games when people start getting beaten up, when the injury report starts getting a little bit longer. I do wonder how the Bills are going to cope. I think they come third. I think they are the disappointments of the NFL season. And I'm not just saying this now. I was saying this since week 4 last year. I felt like there were some things a little bit rotten there. Maybe Stephon Diggs blows up early. We'll see. Last in the division, we got the New England Patriots plus 750. Over under 7.5. I don't want anyone touching that over under 7.5 because I do see why some Pats fans are a little bit more optimistic. You know, you don't have Matt Patricia and Joe Judge calling plays, so I guess it can only get better for Matt Jones. But the 7.5 does look tempting, but can I tell you guys why I would not touch that? I would not touch that because I think Bill Belichick completely butt broke Mac Jones last year. Like, listen, Mac wasn't bad before that injury, before that ankle injury earlier in the season. I know everyone's going to come flame me. I'm the biggest fader of the Patriots there is these last 4 or 5 years. But he wasn't bad before that ankle injury. But after that ankle injury, and in that Chicago game when Bill benched him for Bailey Zappi, I think Bill might have lost Mac Jones. And this offense obviously doesn't have the playmakers they need. Are they going to even get the offensive line play they need? You know, when you think of the Patriots, you think good defense, you think Tom Brady, and you think pretty good offensive line play. I'm not sure the offensive line is up there. So if I'm going to have to go critique the Dolphins, Bills, and Jets offensive line, we can certainly go there with the Patriots. And once again, I think the Patriots defense gets overrated. It always gets overrated, and whenever they play a good offense, they get absolutely ramshackled and berated. And, even the Bears were able to do that to them. Remember that game last year? That was a pivotal game last year where they absolutely self-destructed. I think the offensive coaching is better, but I don't think much else is going to be better. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share the videos. The best gambling show on the internet.